Thanks for joining us for Elko Live today as we are getting ready to close out 2023. It happened pretty fast, but we have our County Commissioner, John Karr, joining us in studio. And John, thank you for being here today. We know it's an off day because the Commission's not meeting for the rest of the year. So you're kind to come in and give us a wrap up.
There you go. I should have been off today. Thanks a lot, Lori.
That's right.
Do I get holiday pay or anything for this?
No holiday pay for you. Go and serve yourself up some French fries or something. Yeah. Yeah.
My trainer would kill me for that. Thank you.
Oh, okay. We're hearing good things, by the way. So the city manager, Jan Baum, was on the radio, and she talked about that the community is impressed with, and it showed in the bottom line at the club at Ruby View. So that's got to feel pretty good.
I still think the 10% is a little bit high, if I'm being honest. But I really think the city is opening their eyes at what a beautiful facility that is. Is it perfect? Gosh, no, not even close. But the golf course, everything up there, it really is a beautiful facility. And it can be nice. We just got to do a few upgrades and everything. And I hope I showed that to some of the city councilmen this year. And, working with the golf pro Rick, we have a great relationship. And I had a great time. Sometimes I forget I'm running a business up there because I know everybody. It's almost like Cheers, the old sitcom. Hey, everybody. And next thing you know, I'm having a beer to say hi and BS with them too. But no, I hope it's turned out good.
Yeah, I think that's just the atmosphere that people were looking for, John. So I just wanted to start off with that. That's really a positive thing, and that you were able to turn that around. As you mentioned, Rick Longhurst, super popular, and it has made a big difference at our municipal course. So cool.
Well, obviously, I was never there during the previous management, so I can't say Curtis was good or bad up there, but Jan is very approachable and easy to work with, and I communicate great with her. So I think that's part of it. But once again, I can't say anything about Curtis, good or bad, because I didn't work with him up there.
Right. No, so kudos all around for management at the golf course anyway, the restaurant, the club. And talking with our county commissioner, John Karr, and there's a few things on the agenda last time. We might as well dive right in with the appropriation, the transfer of appropriation and cash to combine one big capital fund. It looks pretty healthy, $19.5 million, right?
Part of that is our before I correct myself, I'm not on the budget committee, so I pay attention to it, but I don't analyze it down to the wire. I hold Rex and Delmo more accountable on that one. But yes, we are used to being, before I got on there, kind of being a broke county, and we finally have a budget and really have a capital money to look at what our needs are. And so, as I told you before, on our looking at I guess we can't call it a courthouse, our judicial center. We've got some pretty good drawings. Will be in the next few weeks to a couple months going out to the public and kind of going, this is what we're envisioning. It's now way preliminary, so I don't want somebody to think we now have where doors are set or how many, anything like that. This is just a conceptual design and what it would cost, what it would take, what are we looking at. And so we'll be doing some shows to the public on that and what they think and get their input and see if we're heading the right direction. But also we'll be going over finances to see if we can afford it as well.
Yeah, it used to be that $19.5 million would go a long way to building these public projects, but now it's hardly a drop. And it's an entire justice complex. You've got some prime Idaho Street property, John. It stretches from the existing courthouse campus there to where the library is, Elko County Library. And does it incorporate the library? Because that's also a really cool location for them.
Kind of. Behind the library, I still call it the library. I don't know if that was a successful campaign or not, but behind the library is that dirt parking lot that will become probably an improved parking lot, more stripes, asphalted, the whole 9 yards. So it'll be good for the courthouse and the library.
Oh, good. So the library can. I'm going to say library. I thought
well, there you go. I'll let you go library.
Exactly.
I'll go library. I don't know if it's really changed anything. I've supported the library or library or whatever, but I just don't know if that campaign really boosted anything.
We'll get you in the cool kids club eventually. It'll be fine. But so that'll be expanded parking and that'll be paved, and so that's a good use. So no building going on there. At least there's that, because I know they could use the space when they do special events.
Yeah, preliminary, no, we haven't envisioned anything built there.
Oh, that's probably good news for the librarians, because I know they're looking at growing if we can, right? So in somewhere I don't in the future
have any knowledge on their expansion. Obviously they always want to expand, but I don't know of any true, hey, this is what we'd like to do and why. I haven't seen anything.
All right. So if people are interested in that topic, be on the library board along with Lee Karr and some other fine folks, and then or get on Friends of the Elko County Library. I'm sure they'll start working on that project, right, John? Cool. So that is.
I'm going to take your word for that part. Yes.
All right. That is your capital budget that you have to work with, some $19.5 million as a result of the resolution. And now on to the other daunting task ahead. The good news is the county has formed a committee. And am I getting the name of is it AB 519? Is that the bill? The enabling?
I believe so, yes.
The enabling legislation?
I haven't memorized the bill number, but yes.
I know. I kicked all those out of my head when we got out of the session. So I believe it is 519. That's the one that set up the school district capital project tax, of which the county's calling it. And this first reading of the ordinance was approved at your recent meeting and basically applies for a levy. Interesting that you didn't set the levy. It's between 1 and 25 cents. Did you want to talk about that first?
Yeah, no, of course. So we first want that committee to get together, and we've preliminary, the second week in January after the commission meeting, we'll be meeting with myself, Dr. Byers from the school district. We have Susan, who's our comptroller. Who's the other one? Oh, Jen Beck it's not Jen Beck anymore.
Roberson.
Sorry. Jeff Roberson, sorry. As a consultant on construction kind of thing. And I unfortunately forgot the name of the Native American from Hawaii that will be on there representing the Native American side.
You did get a representative.
Yes.
Good, okay.
She's been contacted and all that. The name slips my mind at the moment. But we're hoping to meet then. And first, introductions. Secondly, kind of go over why, what are we expected? What are we doing? Who, how, and why? I hope to then go over the Owyhee project. How far along is it with the school district? Where are we at? Where's it located? And kind of go over all that, the budget on it. And then finally, what is the 5-year plan of the school district? And hopefully a 15 and 25 cent ballpark levy. What would those numbers quasi give you? If 15 cents, could you build this, and 25 you could build this, or something like that, so we can go over it as this group and then make a recommendation to the commission on what should that levy be, as opposed to a simple, we need every dollar we can, we're broken, make it $3 or something. So that's what we're hoping to do.
All right, so that will be going forward, and it sounds like it will be a true committee decision, or at least they'll make the recommendation, because the buck actually stops with the county commission, right, John?
Correct.
So that sounds like it will be decided come January, sometime during the month. The second reading could come during that second meeting in January?
Probably. And once again, this is a resolution, so my guess will be, as a resolution, we'll just says a tax increment based on our current tax level. So we won't go above the tax cap, even though the law allows for it. That's my guess. Obviously, I can't speak for the commission, but that's my gut feeling on the conversation that they have spoke publicly about.
Okay. And meaning you mean?
The other commissioners, just as they're talking about what we might do, all of them have kind of said we can do with the funding up below the tax cap. But we've never voted on it, but I've never heard any of them say, let's look at going over it and what would that bring in. So that's an assumption on my part.
And that makes sense, because basically the county is opening up the levy to include this school district capital projects after pay-as-you-go was shifted. But the county has its own list, as we just talked about, of a justice complex and other needs in the county too. So
correct.
You're sharing that tax rate. So that will be the discussion. And then I think I asked Superintendent C.J. Anderson about this. So this is not a fund for the Owyhee school. That's
correct.
A separate topic.
That funding supposedly is 100% from the state. That
$65 million?
$65 million, I believe, is the number. And then I thought 10 or 15 is coming from Owyhee, an additional for like the roads to that square footage, that acreage, and kind of the infrastructure to get it to that acreage. But then the 65 is for the building itself, building and sites. So that's my understanding.
And they're going to do a lot of that infrastructure, as you said, obviously, it's a reservation school, but it is the responsibility of the school district, but became the responsibility of the county with the inclusion of lawmakers during the recent session.
There was some interesting wording on that basically if we didn't raise an increment, they would raise it for us. But secondly, if this went over budget, they'd quasi, and once again, it's so vague, it's hard to say this, but they could quasi bond for it and the county be on the hook for it separately, not the school district, the county. Like I said, it's kind of a bizarre wording on this bill, but I think because of working with the school district, it won't go over the budget. We won't have to worry about that. The $65 million is there at the state, so I don't think we'll have any of that, but it's one of those things, if it was done incorrectly, it could get weird.
All right, John Karr is our county commissioner, and has this gone out? I mean, it's way early. There's not even funding in place, so it's probably not gone out for design yet.
No, they're designing it as we speak, and so but that's hoping what I'm going over with that committee is to look at preliminary designs. We sure won't be going over what doorknob, what color in each room, or down to the wire, stuff like that. But they should have some conceptual designs of what it's going to look like in ballpark going out to bid. Since I'm not on the school board, I still heard in the first part of the quarter is what they're hoping to do.
Well, that's fantastic. I think
that's
a lot of us,
that's what I've heard, and I'm not on the school board, so don't quote me on that, but that's what I've been told.
Right. Well, from all the conversations I think the community has had, the intent is there, and if they can get this moving quickly, that is certainly what they want to do. So that's good to hear that maybe some designs are already on the board. So that's not a bad way to start the new year, I guess, with a brand new school for the Owyhee campus. Their school's got to be 50, 60 years old, something like that. So
parts of it, there's been some expansions and things, but yes, it's an older campus with some. It's always been interesting dealing with the Owyhee because they kind of own it, but yet don't own it, and there's an old gym there that's still sitting there, but vacant and half falling down and half not, and so no, it's just an interesting relationship.
Yeah, it's definitely time.
But going forward, what they're hoping to do, I think there's been some individuals that want to reuse that building, but yet, no, I think because of this, it becomes 100% bulldozed down, fix the ground, and then it's prime property for whatever why he wants to do with it. But it will be a vacant property,
All
is
right.
my understanding. But once again, that could change.
All right. John Karr is a former school trustee, and that's why some of this seems like a little bit more maybe than other folks, but it makes sense. And now you're a county commissioner, and that you're also the representative for the county on this committee, right, John? I mean, this is something that's important to you.
Yes, because of my past knowledge, but then also my whole background. My whole family was in education. I was the unique one that went into a different direction. But yeah, everyone in my family, my wife, my mom, my dad, my sister, everyone was in education.
And you were on the school board for as long as was possibly allowed. You filled 3 terms,
I had 13
right?
years because I had a little bit extra. Unfortunately, the man passed away, and it was open for, I won't say a year. It was vacant.
And then you were elected to that position before moving on to the county board.
There you go.
All right. So moving on, unless there's anything else. Oh, I did want to make sure, CJ did assure me, but this committee will be subject to open meeting law, right? So the community and the public can attend?
I don't know if truly legally, I'm not an attorney, but we plan on treating it that way.
Cool. That's great.
So it'll be we're basically planning on after the commission meeting at 5 or 5:30. So it'll be more like a planning commission meeting, but no, the agenda will be posted. It'll be open to the public, that's kind of the plan.
Oh, good. I think that helps those conversations if the community wants to be there, they can. I think sometimes the rub happens if they feel like they can't be, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's why it's an open committee. We're trying to make a recommendation to how their taxes are spent.
Sounds good, John.
So that's the theory anyway. So
County Commissioner John Karr is our guest today as we're kind of wrapping up the old year and looking ahead to 2024. Anything else that, we could reflect on either the most recent agenda? Well, these are also pretty big. I wanted to mention the 4th Judicial District Court creating a mental health court. John, this is big news for the county.
Well, it is, but unfortunately, I wish we didn't have to have it. It's kind of like the Child Advocacy Center. I'm so proud of our DA, Tyler, for first, recommending it. I kind of chuckled and said, well, I want to support you, but it'll never happen. And boy, he definitely proved me wrong. He go-getter, made it happen, and boom, we have it. But it's one of those things I wish we didn't have because we didn't need it. This is a prime example. It's not getting better. Drug addiction and then the mental problems that some aren't permanent, some are permanent on their mental health. So no, it's extremely necessary.
I remember the days when it was when I first moved to Elko, the jail wasn't built. And so prisoners were housed in that second floor back corner of the courthouse. You grew up here, so you know what I'm talking about. And once in a while, they'd let themselves out the window if they jumped out. And yeah, it was crazy times.
And we had a couple people, remember growing up,
sure,
that obviously
we know were
some
trouble. Yes.
Problems. I don't know if it's smart to name any of them. Wave
no,
Lily,
we
the
wouldn't
Purple
do that.
Gal, or whatever. I don't know their real names, but growing up, you saw it was only a couple.
And we
that
always,
the whole community knew that those were. But
and
now
people would look out for them, right?
You see them all the time, unfortunately.
Right.
So no, there's a definite increase in. I don't know how much is it the drugs themselves are more powerful, and how much our society's led to people being more addicted to these more powerful drugs. But yes, it's not going away. I
know our police chief, Ty Trout, and he thinks the majority of the problems are due to, drug addiction, drug use. And they're, we have enough to fill an entire wing of the jail. I mean, that's what the other conversation that's been going on, right, is to expand the jail. And now we have 22-hour nursing help at the jail.
Correct. And working with the hospital, they're looking at that expansion too. So I was just talking to the CEO a week or two ago about that.
Mr. Simpson?
Correct. So we're stepping up and doing the things we need to do, but it's still a serious problem that none of our state legislator or especially our national want to truly touch. They talk a lot. They'll put a little bit of budget there, but they're not really doing anything to fix it.
From what we are reading and hearing and seeing is that most of the resources are going to the south, to Clark County. And so, you're right. We're out here fending for ourselves. And is it true that Elko County right now, inmate jail, the population that does need medical help, it's over $1 million a year? Does that sound about right?
I believe that was the presentation, on their medicine, because once they're in the jail, we have to be the ones supplying it, and it's a chunk of change. I don't think people realize that we just have some inmates, we throw them some top ramen or something. No, that's not how it works. We very specific on the meals they have to have. They have meal needs, and then their medicines and whatever. No, it's very expensive.
And now it's the last time the sheriff, Aitor Narvaeza, was on, he did talk about that, having the new, I think it's recon service, a contract service, and they provide nursing staff now 22 hours a day at the jail.
Obviously, there were some mistakes in the past that happened, but no, these are also where we're headed. So it's fixing some problems, but also this is where society's at, so it's both.
That's the reality. So I guess looping back around to where we were talking about having a mental health court, and which justice is overseeing that? It's in
that one I'm not sure yet.
Okay.
I haven't met with the judges lately, so.
So it is something new. Fortunately, we do get some money seated, though, from the Supreme Court. Is that where it comes down from?
The state courts, yes.
State.
The judicial system.
Okay, that's good. So, but obviously the county bears the cost going forward, right?
It's one of those lucky endeavors that they just kind of trickle it down. The county can take care of it, but they don't do any kind of a funding stream or anything else that can take care of it.
Okay, so right now the application's approved for funding the specialty court. That will come through the state. And then the other one was it extending the drug court that we have? I think that was also on here. I've got a stack of paperwork here that we're looking through, John. But so basically, we're going to continue the work of the courts to try to divert people from jail. I guess that's the goal, too.
That is the goal. But obviously, some of these, what's the other option? I mean, when they're clinically either hurt themselves or hurt somebody else in the public, and then we have no mental health at the hospital they're working on, but there's no other place to take them.
It's been suggested, too, that in the 1980s, we used to have these large facilities, and they were state-run often, and that's where people went, right, to a state facility. And now I think, and people refer to it as during the Reagan administration, that those were defunded and the doors were opened, and then suddenly we had a huge homeless problem. And
I've never researched why. If it was, I call them do-gooders. They said, no, these people are in here against their will, and no, we don't. Or if it was a true budgetary thing and we defunded. I've never researched the history on why. But you're correct. We used to have facilities for
mentally ill.
I guess we called them insane asylums back then, but I don't know what the legal term was. But yes, the mentally ill, we don't have those anymore, or it's much, much more difficult to place somebody in those.
And there's certainly no beds. And that's, as you mentioned, the Northeastern Nevada Regional Hospital, which is a Life Point facility. They are going to, I think they're going to the goal is what, in the fall, to have that third floor
Correct.
of behavioral health unit. So,
Right.
but I think it will be for adults. I don't think that
Correct.
there'll be juvenile facilities, which is always the challenge. So, in addition to that, so anything else either on the agenda, John, or I know, it's going to be an election year here in just a few weeks. Can you believe that?
Supposedly, yes, it is. So I guess I'll be on the ballot again next November.
And your intention is?
It would be very bizarre if something happened I didn't put my name on it. It would really, something significant would have to happen. And there's nothing I know of that would be that way. So no, I plan on putting my name on it.
So as far as you know, Audrey says you should run.
Yeah, that would probably be the one that would
Okay, I
say,
was just gonna
honey,
say.
not again. But no, I hope the public feels I've been effective, and I'd like to think I have been. So no, I would like to run for my final 4 years.
All right. So the election information is online. Of course, some things have changed. It's always a good idea to go to elkocountynv.net. Rebecca Plunkett is our new county clerk.
Correct.
And lots of confidence in Becky. She was duly trained by, of course, our outgoing clerk, who we're going to miss her very much, but we understand when you get promoted to grandma, I think was that her? Yeah.
I think that was the most part.
Yeah.
I hope it wasn't too much of the COVID plus then you throw in the election and the bizarre ballots and all that. I hope that's not really what triggered her to go. I'm sure it was part of it, but I hope it wasn't the final push over the retirement cliff. But no, she's still active, healthy, and great for her. So I hope she keeps active, healthy, and enjoys her retirement. She deserves it and did a great job during those, I don't want to say fraudulent years because we didn't have any of the fraudulent, but questionable, whatever you want to call it. I'm glad we just didn't have that. I have zero doubt in her performance in our election in this community.
Chris Jakeman, I hope you heard that, or at least your friends will tell you. We have so much appreciation for you and the work that you did, and all of your poll workers and everyone else in your office. So that was...
Oh, absolutely. So that's why, as our commissioners, we went in, saw how it was done. I personally saw how the ballot box comes in, where it's counted, and there were no people in there that were like all connected, like all church members or all, whatever. They were random people throughout our community, well-known people throughout everywhere that were first opening the ballot boxes, doing what they do. But then we also did the ballot checks on the machines, us commissioners ourselves. So no, we were part of the process to double check, and it was, I do not see how possibly it could have been rigged at all. And once again, Chris did a great job. Her staff was professional and knew what they were doing.
And it's fair to mention these county seats are partisan, so it's okay to say John Karr is definitely a dedicated Republican, and that was your own observation. And you also talked about how long it took to try to count those things by hand. That was excruciating.
I was lucky that, I don't remember the number off the top of my head, but my machine just wasn't a high number machine, whatever it was, because we drew them ourselves, so that's the one I drew. But no, Wildy happened to get a machine that was like a 2,000 vote winner. I don't remember the numbers, but yeah, no, he spent two days there because but that's just how many to verify that machine. That's just how it was.
Yep, hand counting.
Rex is actually the first one he picked. So he picked a second one because that one had 0. And he kind of went, cool, I'm out of here. But no, he went and chose another one.
Oh, that's cool. So that's a perfect segue into the Elko County Clerk's Office is looking for poll workers because we've got a presidential preference primary election right around the corner, February 6th. It's going to be here before we know it. So the Clerk's Office will conduct, it looks like they already conducted some group worker training. Sorry about that. We missed that. But I wonder if they still need workers. If you have questions, give them a call, right? Because that's a very important job. And I would imagine...
I'm sure they will
Yeah.
need some more additional people, so I hope people do volunteer. And it's disappointing, one of those ones where we, all the commotion about the rigged election and everything else, when we were counting it, us as commissioners were recounting the machines. I want to make this very clear. When we were double checking personally the machines, not one single person in the public came to verify what we were doing. So either they trust us or once again, I don't know. Or I just hope convincing them that, no, I firmly believe the machines are valid. They're legit. They don't have a preference. They're not a Democrat machine, a Republican machine, a liberal machine. I don't know, whatever you want to call it. No.
It's technology.
Yes, that's what it is. And there isn't some secret plug in the back that they can tap into. There's not a Bluetooth signal going out or something. So no, I do have faith in them.
So with
because of the cross checks that our clerk does. That's why I believe in them. Now, is there somebody somewhere in some county that can hack in because they have 6-8 crooked people? I don't know, probably. I'm not naive to it, but here, no.
Well, thanks, John. Again, Chris Jakeman, under her leadership and those who are returning in her office, complete credibility. So, yep.
I think so.
Looking forward to 2024. And so judicial candidate filing opens right away, January 2nd through January 16th. They have their own filing period. I haven't checked in to see who's on the ballot, who's up, who's not. Non-judicial candidate filing opens March 4th through March 15th. And I was just looking, since we're just talking about county commissioners, it looks like you and Wildy and Rex were both reelected to your positions in 2020. So I think that makes all three of you on the ballot. So
I'm almost convinced. I'm almost positive Rex is going to run, but I haven't talked to Wildy personally if he's going to run again or not. I just haven't asked him.
Right. So we'll have those conversations obviously going forward. Commissioner Travis Gerber was elected in 2022 and Delmo Andriozzi in 2014. And I think he's nearing the end of his final term.
Correct. He'll have 2 more years to be termed out.
Okay. So that's how that is shaping up. And of course, there are various other county offices. We have plenty of time to talk about that. And we'll do that in the new year. But if you are so curious in the meantime, go to the Elko County website, elkocountynv.net, and drill down to, I think it's departments, then go to the clerk's office, and then go to elections. And you should find all that there.
I'll probably have them move a smart button or something up onto our regular website that'd be easy click to find out come January what offices are up. Because, yeah, you have school board, city, county, you have all the different county electors, because not just county commission. I don't know if the treasurer's up, the recorder's up,
Yeah, I was just looking here. I printed everybody
I don't believe the
off.
sheriff's up. I think he was only 2 years ago. But anyway, no, there's a lot more elected officials than just that.
Yeah, there's, and as I said, I haven't even talked about judges yet. The sheriff was elected ITOR in 2018. Yeah, so anyway, we can, we can go through all that, I'm sure. We will have time. You did mention, though, the city, too, John. They have 2 council seats. Mandy Simons is termed out, so hers will be a vacancy. And I just texted with Claire Morris a day or 2 ago, right after the Tuesday meeting, and he was skiing and said, yeah, I'm going to run again. So that was his answer. He's going to run again for city council. He's just in his first term.
I personally think he's done a pretty good job, so I can't vote for him. I don't live in the city, but I would recommend voting for him.
So there you go. Your first endorsement, former city police chief and former Elko County Undersheriff Claire Morris, comes from Commissioner Karr.
I think Chip Stone's up as well, but I'm not positive.
Oh, let me look on here. Did I? Oh, wait. I did not print out the city. Is Chip in that cycle too?
I want to think he is.
Oh, okay. We'll ask Chip. Chip, if you're listening and you want to call us, I'm sorry.
Chip was at first a little bit naive, but I think he's grown into that position, and I think he makes some pretty good points.
Okay.
So I think he'd be fine too.
All right. So we'll find out. I'm sorry if I missed someone. I think in my conversation with Jan, we both may have missed that. If there are.
Yeah, I could be wrong on Chip. I thought he is, but I'm not sure.
All right. So either way, I guess you've got the support of Commissioner Karr. So all that information is online about 2024 election information. We just wanted to remind people of poll workers. There are also some kind of exciting job opportunities. I didn't realize how many positions are in the county. And John, there's an assistant county manager position. That's an administrative assistant. I think that job is being held by Curtis Moore right now, but he's also doing his natural resource director job. So
you've looked at it more than I have. I haven't looked at what openings we have.
And this one says posted 2 days ago, so hopefully that's not.
So there you go. I haven't posted that.
Yeah, you haven't. Exactly. You haven't seen that either. Listing for an appraiser trainee, a Carlin Library branch assistant, a public defender caseworker, a public defender chief criminal deputy, looking at community development officer, and support services assistant deputy district attorney, since I think we lost ours. He went back to graduate school, I think, and deputy public defender. So there's some pretty deep vacancies in county government, and you can find out more online at elkocountynv.net. John and
finding attorney positions are definitely difficult. Mm-hmm. They're getting to be like finding accountants. They're not exactly easy either.
And the good ones are really hard to find because they pay them a lot.
Correct.
Yeah, so they want to retain them, and especially in, I'm sure, public sector jobs like this. So you can, again, go online and look those over. So as far as what you're working on, I want to make sure, John, that we give you a chance to either reflect on something you're super proud of this year or something you're maybe really looking forward to in the next.
I don't have the big whiteboard of what do I hope to accomplish next year or even in the next 4 years after that, because quite honestly, most of the ones I had on there before have been now accomplished. The fire district, I think, part of it's been fluke on the NV Energy grant and some other things that just happen to happen. But no, putting that into their own entity, building the fire tax, Matt Peterson being the chief of that, I'm extremely proud of where our fire district is at. And I've said it repeatedly on this, and I'll say it even in meetings, that no, we finally have fire apparatus and trained individuals that you can count on that will show up and actually at least defend I can't say every structure will ever be saved, but I can definitely say they'll make the effort and have the tools to have a chance at saving any structures or whatever can burn, there's a chance to save it now. The dispatch, I don't believe the public was really aware of how many problems really were going on there, how antiquated the technology was, how much just it wasn't working as a group because of the 3 different committees and now that it's underneath the county. I don't want to say that we're geniuses and now fixed everything, but now we have one head, one source of leadership, being Lee Cabanis, that can work with the sheriff's office, the police office, the Elko fire, the county fire, and really fix the problems of communications, whether it be the technology communication, whether it be training, whether it be staffing, whatever the case may be. We now have that, and I already see the improvements myself. And that E911 tax, which I'm not a fan, I'm a pretty conservative Republican, but we had to have it. It was so antiquated. I think it really has made a difference. I had to call dispatch Friday night. There was an individual out with a crowbar on a mental state, out swinging at cards and stuff in the corridor. I'm like, well, let's at least have some police officers have a chat with that guy, because he seems to be. But no, it answered. They knew where I was at. The response was very quick. I really think they're making the improvements. And even on our radios. And I also think we are working more with the TV district, starting that communication on towers of which equipment we're using, where can we work together on what towers you have, and if we're doing upgrades, let's do it together, and those kind of things.
No, that's really good and good to hear. And that does seem to be a strength of yours, John, without, flattering you, but you bring people together. That's called collaboration. As you mentioned, Matt Peterson, Lee Cabanis, Chris McCann, you'll see these problems or issues, and it might be a little clumsy the way you kind of skydive in sometimes. I'm not trying to, just being fair.
I sometimes am too, the bull in the china shop or something, or too abrasive, but I try to have a clue of what I'm talking about and try to work with others to go, how do we fix this problem, or is there a problem worth fixing? Or is it really nothing and it's hot air and we move on?
Well, and it looks as though new beginnings in store for Great Basin College, at least with the interim president, Amber Denali. She's local, and she's somebody that people have trusted for a long time. And,
Well, I won't be calling her an interim president. I will just be calling her president.
President Denali, coming in June. So,
correct.
Yes.
I think that's a fantastic choice. Obviously, I don't know. I've not worked with her, but personally, I like her. I think she's intelligent. I think she's reasonable and loves this community and has a vision for not just this community, but what the rural community colleges should be focused on. I hit her up on a couple of things about Pahrump and some other ones, obviously thinking I was pretty sharp. And no, she knew her stuff. And I was like, well, wait a minute. You're not thinking of this, this, and this. Well, you have done your homework. So there you go. So no, I think she's sharp, and I think she'll be good.
And obviously, there is a lot to be accomplished there at Great Basin College, John. So, yeah.
I think there has been some issues, and I have full faith in her and her working with the communities. Whether obviously Great Basin College is a community here in our hearts, but that whole center, whether it be down in Pahrump or the other campuses, those communities, I hope to get to that love of each community and their campus as well. And I think she'll work with community leaders at each facility and get that. I think that's going to be one of her strong points.
So
I hope anyway, but I think she has that.
Yeah, she definitely has the experience and has that care, as you mentioned, a deep care for rural Nevada. I think I don't know if she's lived her whole life, but yeah.
I knew him in high school. Danny I think they were high school sweethearts. I think they've been together since high school, and I've known them since way back. And I don't want to say back in '92 because that sounds a long time ago, but yes.
Sounds like a long time ago. So again, congratulations to Amber. And the transition is still happening. Obviously, she's not a stranger to the radio, and I'm sure she's going to come back on. We had regular programs on Elko Live with GBC, and those ended, sadly, but I think we'll be able to resume those going forward. So yeah.
I think so. Just hope we don't overwhelm them because she definitely got a truckload dumped on her shoulders, but I think she's sharp and works hard and has community support, so I think it'll happen.
Yep, moving forward in 2024. Anything else, John, before we sign off just for today?
Like I said, I don't have any real big things I really want to conquer because I really think the county's made some huge strides. I think as a board, as a commission, whatever you want to call us, and Amanda's the manager, I think we made some great changes, and we're sure the heck not perfect, but I think we've made some positive influence.
Well, so there you go. A nod to Amanda Osborne. You're right. We don't mention Amanda often enough, but she is the Elko County manager. And I do believe, if I wasn't mistaken, there might be an advertisement for an HR person too for the county.
Correct. We do have that position open.
Okay. So
I already gave her a hard time about not telling us. That's a pretty important position that we need to be aware that's open, but
yeah, because that's where she started with the
Correct.
county. Yes. So great training ground.
So we'll put that on her evaluation. Don't worry.
Oh, fine. Thank you, Amanda. Thank you, Curtis. Thank you to all the people who work for Elko County government. You're the ones that actually do the work that John's sitting here talking about. And some of you are nodding your head saying, that's not how that works, John. We all know that, right? I can give you a bad time.
Oh, of course you can.
I
I definitely know as a public government, I think it's a little bit different with ourselves as county commissioners, how much more we're involved. And it's not saying that's necessarily right or wrong, but we're just much more active in, as opposed to whether the city or school district. And once again, it's not right or wrong. It's just we are just how it was set up in the past that the commissioners were much on a much deeper level on decision making. I don't know if that's a positive or not, but that's just how it's turned out.
Elko County, someone's calling you.
No, that'd be my county commissioner saying, yeah, I
Saying you
saw
have
the
a
meeting
meeting.
just because I'm trying to get better at my Google Calendar.
Oh, good. There is no county meeting today, by the way. And we'll see you again in the new year, right?
I don't have any plans on, well, I'm stuck with me at least one more year if I lose an election, but you still got me for a year.
John, thank you. I really appreciate that you come in and talk about the issues along with Commissioner Delmo Andreozzi. We have some other commissioners, and maybe, who knows, maybe they'll want to come on the radio too. You can tell them how easy it is, right?
Well, you haven't been brutal to me, or I'm brutal back to you, however you want to word it.
Well, brutal. Wow. Okay, clumsy skydiver, I'll let you go. Thank you, John.
No, thank you.
Thank you for listening to our program today. Elko Live here on KELK featuring County Commissioner John Karr.